like we would take her car too, and yeah.
Cool. So was it kind of like, um, I guess what I was going to ask was, did you go like straight there and back then every day after you recorded, or were you like staying in the cities for a bit and then you'd kind of take off and
It was pretty much straight there, straight back, just
okay.
business trip. I would like to have kind of explored the cities a little more. I've been
Yeah.
there, I mean, multiple times, but just to kind of see everything again and kind of take on the sights and all that stuff. But with the pandemic, everything was kind of closed anyway, so
Yeah.
we're
So
more
I guess
difficult to get to.
yeah, did you, from what you did observe about the cities, were there a lot of places when you went there, was there a lot of places like uh open, or did you notice any changes with like social distancing? I know the cities were a little bit stricter than Fargo as far as
Mhm.
social distancing guidelines. So did that, I mean, you were pretty focused on your album, but did that impact you at all with like if you did go get food or get anything, like was it more closed off than Fargo, or did you not really notice?
With Minnesota, they are more stricter. Like you have to wear a mask in every single place you go to. You have to
Right.
practice social distancing and like that sort of stuff. So I mean, other than kind of the obvious like limitations, like 6 feet, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's pretty much the same, just a different kind of formula, I guess.
Hmm. I guess getting into albums and like your new album, how long have you been working on your current album? And then what was that process like for you from start to finish? Like when did you start like thinking, okay, like I'm gonna start working on this, and versus like, because is it finished up now, like ready to go?
What I'm doing is the tentative plan, at least, like it could change, but I'm going to release a song every month
Okay,
for until about December,
cool.
um, and then call that kind of like an EP sort of deal, and then I'm working on the latter half of the album, and then maybe around February, March, April-ish,
Yeah.
drop the last half just all in one chunk and then call the whole kind of thing like the album,
Okay.
which is kind of an unorthodox way of doing it. But since I'm a newer artist
Hmm.
and because I am who I am, I do what I want.
Yeah.
So,
So when did you kind of start, like, I know, like, what time did you, so when did you wrap Daybreak? Like when was that album like released again? Just to kind of refresh my memory about that.
it was released on October 24th of last year.
Okay. And so I
Um,
guess as far as that goes, like when you after how soon after you released Daybreak did that process begin of like I want to start writing for my next album? Were you always writing for this next one, or was there a plan to be like, okay, now that's done, now I move on to this one?
yeah, I never really stopped writing. I had a couple songs left over that didn't make the Daybreak album. Um, and yeah, pretty much after I released Daybreak, I was like, "Whoo, I can relax now a little bit." And then I looked at kind of um, my music and stuff like that, and I was just like, I don't know what I would do. I'm getting kind of that itch of like writing again. And then yeah, I kind of like looked at my music and I was like, wow, I have like almost half an album done.
Sure.
Well, I mean, I can start work on, the other half. And
Yeah.
yeah, long story short, I haven't stopped writing.
Yeah.
And I constantly have that creative itch to like keep doing more stuff. So
Hmm. So have you like, as far as the, I know you mentioned there were some songs that you had left over. Was there ever a moment where you were like, I don't know if this song fits with this album, or do you not? Or, I know some artists are like, like this doesn't really fit the vibe that I'm going for, like for this
Yeah.
album. But like, were there any? Did they all kind of flow pretty well into the next album, or were there some that you're like, I'm still gonna save this for maybe a different one?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple that I feel fit kind of what I felt in my head was the next step.
Mm-hmm.
There are a couple that were completely just bonkers and just wouldn't fit that I'll probably save for something else, or maybe I'll randomly drop a song and be like, hey, this isn't a part of anything, but here you go,
Yeah.
But yeah, I always like to have options, so.
Mm-hmm. What are you kind of using these days with to like either like mainly to keep your lyrics and to keep ideas down? Like, are you a notebook guy, or are you like, do you write it on your phone? Kind of what do you like to use?
I do use my cell phone whenever I'm just like out and about, but I'm the type of person I need to write down my lyrics. I need
Yep.
to see it on paper, and um, even whenever I have like a full song like on my phone or on my laptop or something like that,
Yeah.
most of the time I end up writing it out anyway, even if I don't need it. But it's good
Yep.
to have kind of a hard copy and kind of feel the paper under the pen sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it that much like real to me, I guess.
Yeah. Do you have a lot of songs kind of in your notebook currently, or do you?
Oh yeah,
Okay. Do you?
I have like probably at least 10 notebooks
Oh wow.
throughout like the whole time I've been doing this.
Mm-hmm. Do you ever go back to like? Do you ever go back to? Do you go back to ideas a lot, or do you tend to like kind of like stockpile them and look at them when you're stuck? How does that kind of work?
Yeah, I mean, if I if I kind of like look, if I'm struggling, I'll like look back on a couple older like notebooks, and I might have like a nugget of an
Yeah.
idea or inspiration or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's nice to look back at that stuff too.
Mm-hmm. I guess as far as, are the songs pretty much like, are they still kind of in progress, or are they all finished up now and you're just waiting on to release each one?
The first half of the album is finished. There's maybe one or two more that I have to write still,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah.
Because I know what they're essentially gonna be. So
Yeah.
I feel like it'll be easy to just jump in and finish it whenever I need to.
Mm-hmm. Has this, as far as the process with writing the album, I guess, have you changed up anything, either like with how you approach the writing process, or have you like, has the process been different from Daybreak for you in terms of how you approach your songwriting, or has it been kind of more or less the same?
It's pretty much been the same. My writing process is, I don't know, I think maybe it's a little weird, but most of the time I just sit down. If I have an idea for a song, I'll write down kind of like things that inspire the song that I'm working on, or maybe song lyrics from something else, or ideas that I saw in like everyday life sort of thing. And then
Mm-hmm.
one by one, I kind of like pick out like little bits and pieces and start writing random stuff. Just like it feels like it's kind of like picking ideas out from the universe, and then all of
Yeah.
a sudden it's like one minute I have so many different puzzle pieces of ideas, inspirations, all that stuff. And then I look down and I have a full song and it's like, oh crap, like
Yeah.
I wrote that, you know, like it was, and
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of funny because um like looking back with say like Daybreak
Yeah.
and like a couple of the songs, like I don't feel like I remember writing them at all
Okay.
because it's just like all of a sudden it just was, and I'm
Yeah.
like, wow, okay, you know.
Yeah. Has that been, I mean, like listening to your older songs, have you noticed like kind of like a change in like where you're at in life and musically and all of that stuff? Like have you, I'm not, I guess like I don't want to say like outgrew any songs yet, but in a sense like that's kind of what I'm asking. Like are you like, well, this isn't where I'm at right now or whatever, but like where you can still appreciate the song, but maybe it's not where you're currently at?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, like some of my songs from Daybreak, I still might have a couple things that are still relevant in my life. But I've noticed like my newer songs, they're better written, better produced. They're just better, and
Yeah.
they are more of a. They're a little bit more of like a worldly, um, knowledgeable approach now. Like
Mm-hmm.
I've grown up, I've matured, and I kind of look at things from a different perspective now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I feel like that shows a lot in my newer stuff. And whenever it comes out, hopefully people will be able to pick that out and tell.
Mm-hmm. Do you, I mean, as far as the, like, have you had any, hopefully you haven't, but have you had any moments yet where you've listened to some of your songs where you're like, oh, well, do they still hold the same, like, emotional weight for you? Obviously, you're still proud of them, but
Right.
is there, like, are there any that you're like, you're a little bit kind of like, well, I totally outgrew that one, or I'm not, or like, I can't believe I wrote that one, kind of like a little bit more. I know artists, like, even if they like a song, they're like, geez, like I kind of cringe listening to that one now, or maybe that wouldn't be what I'd do now or something. Have you had any moments like that?
A little bit. Like before I release a song, like I've listened to it a billion times and I
Yeah.
was there for every step of the creation process.
Yeah.
So whenever I finally release the song, I'm kind of sick and tired of it, to be completely
Right.
honest. And then I go away from it, and after the promotion process and all that stuff is done, like I'll come back to it and I'll be like, oh yeah, that's why I wrote it. And like
Yeah.
there's still kind of that like emotional weight that's still there,
Yeah.
because it came from a part of my life. It came from a part of um, like an emotional or integral part of my life. So
Hmm.
of course they'll still hold the same emotional weight, but sometimes
Yeah.
I'm just sick of them.
Yeah. So, if you can talk about a little bit about this, talk about like the who's kind of behind. You said, was it Jeremy was your producer for this album? Is that his
Yep.
name?
Yep,
So
Jeremy.
yeah. So he was the producer, and then did you get a chance to talk to, like, uh or know who are some of the other musicians on the album, if you can
It's
talk about
actually
that?
all Jeremy.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah, he's insane,
Oh,
and
wow.
I'm surprised that he still um, can come up with some original sounds. I mean, I partially have something to do with that because I come at him with different ideas,